Your only move is Hustle. This is a fighting game where each player locks in a different move and you see what happens. But what happens when I take the most popular AI, ChatGPT, and see if it can win a game itself? I have a method in order for ChatGPT to attempt this, but I won't bore you with the details on how this works, but I'll give a basic description. I will inform ChatGPT on what the game is, how it works, and what each of the 4 default characters do. Then I will simply ask ChatGPT what move to make in what situation and pray that this AI can make me win a game somehow. Let's get right into it and see if ChatGPT can win me a game. Now, to start this all off, let me tell you how difficult this whole thing was. The biggest issue is the time between turns. With my one monitor setup, I have to see the move, assess the situation, describe it to ChatGPT, and hope it responds without stuttering or giving me one of these "which answer is better" things. And then I have to input the move on top of all of that. I had multiple occasions where I would mess up a move or an input simply because the time constraints destroyed me. Like, watch this here. For some reason, I have Impale selected before asking what move to do, so I run out of time by accident, and it defaults to go ahead and use Impale. Okay, that's a little awkward. I guess I was hovering over Impale. Which was the ideal move in that situation, but ChatGPT didn't tell me to do that, so it ruined the match. It wouldn't have felt fair to me to count that. I was considering it if I had won. I was close to considering that a win, but I decided not to because it wouldn't sit right. Anyways, I know there's a chess timer option in this game, but I didn't actually find a lobby using it, which is surprising considering how often I recall being in games with chess timers prior to getting this footage. If there's a pattern I did start to notice, it was that ChatGPT sort of formed its own database of automatic replies, which there was like about 6 or 7. Most of them made sense. I'd get one telling me to use some katana attacks, in which I just put whatever katana move worked. Use my revolver to shoot, teleport, burst, the occasional whiff cancel when it actually remembered that it existed, and the lasso. Oh, also, why is it telling me to do this revolver spin attack? Yeah, I know cowboys and stuff do the thingy with the thingy when you spin the revolver around and you fire it, but did ChatGPT really find such a significant difference as to shoot the thing normally and to make sure I spun it before? There was also a common theme of ChatGPT just straight up forgetting stuff too. I remember one situation where I completely run out of ammo and informed ChatGPT this, but it literally told me to fire my revolver a couple moves later. Now, I'll try and focus on more of the positives of this experiment. First, I did find that ChatGPT slowly learned when it should and shouldn't use certain moves. For example, there was a trend in my first few attempts where I would describe the situation as the opponent and I being right next to each other, but it would still tell me to fire off my gun instead of use my katana. I did describe how the moves have wind-up frames, but it would still decide to use the gun. Eventually, after I would tell ChatGPT that I'm still getting hit face-to-face when using the gun, it swapped to using the katana. It was also pretty consistent on what to do when there was a lot of distance. Obviously, I would fire my gun as it told me. However, I found it interesting that it also sometimes understood about my limited ammo and suggested I teleport in after landing a bullet on the enemy, therefore closing the gap and using my katana, and saving me an extra bullet. I would say the biggest factor in ChatGPT's decisions was mainly the position of me and the enemy. Am I above? Then it suggests slamming down with my katana. Are we literally face to face? Use the grab. It also understood when I would say that the enemy is about to attack and it would either tell me to dodge or block. Limitations of the experiment was most obviously the way ChatGPT would reply. I didn't want to get technical and end up describing every single move and how the game worked to the AI, so I left it really simple. I have no idea what being super specific would have done, but I do know that with simplicity I could have made it work, and that complicating things with like 20 extra moves and describing every single possible thing that could happen could really impact the experiment positively or negatively. I will say ChatGPT had its fair share of surprises. One time I wanted to start off the match with a lasso, and this in theory would be a horrible first move, but for some reason the enemy decided to do the one move that wouldn't hit me and they got hit by the lasso. So yes, there was definitely moments where I was like, oh shit, good job, man. So, while I came extremely close to winning about 2 games using this method, I would say that yes, ChatGPT can win a game if you get lucky enough. Plus, maybe if you describe the systems of the game better, it'll have a higher chance of victory. Me having 2 games where the enemy was literally one combo away from death essentially proves that with enough time, descriptions, and most of all luck, you could definitely win a game using this method. Would I recommend it? Hell no. This was the most complicated thing I've ever done, especially with a single monitor. I am curious though, if any of you feel inclined to attempt this challenge yourself, please comment and tell me if you succeed, or share your funny replies that you get from ChatGPT in my new Discord server I just made recently. You should totally join, by the way. Anyways, if you guys have any other cool challenges for me to try or characters to check out, remember to comment that down below. Other than that, subscribe for more content like this and drop a like. Thanks for watching. Peace.